market
This is
stuff.
going up and down for me. It's going up and down for me. We were just up. Now we're clicking down. We're clicking down.
So I went through a lot of emotions with this book.
Sure.
So quick synopsis. All right, hello, we are back.
Yes, yes,
Hi,
yes.
for another relaunch episode. I don't even know anymore. I've lost all track
20
of
something.
like time, numbers, everything. It is just like completely out of my.
Yeah. Time.
It's a,
What is time?
what? How are you doing this week, LZ?
I am. I'm surviving. You know, um, I'm I'm doing all right. I've been catching up on a lot of my old comic books.
Okay,
I think I had talked about
always
it
fun.
before, where I had all these older issues of books,
Mm-hmm.
um, like all of my fave characters. Like there, a lot of their older stuff I had never really read before,
Yeah,
or like an issue or two. So I like made this whole timeline of books, and I made it through. I made it through the 80s.
iconic time. Who doesn't
Wow.
love the '80s? Who doesn't love
Wow.
the '80s? It's everything. It's everything.
Yo, the comics in the 80s were litty. Like they were they
Yes,
were
like
they were
top
giving.
tier. It's another level. It's another level.
Yes, yes. And I have to say, the West Coast Avengers for me are way more interesting than the regular Avengers.
So I've been waiting to like have these type of conversations with you, and I'm so glad that you are like getting into all of your older comic books now because now we can like really get into like the good characters who I know you've been missing out on, especially my street level girls who
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
always tried to like, who you've always tried to like
They are present.
discount, but they're there. And so I'm
Hmm.
glad. Well, as you get, we might have to do like a reread of an arc or two of that for sure,
Yes.
so we can have
I'm
everybody
loving this
experience
right
that
now
with us.
because also like there are a lot more characters around this time with superpowers. And, I've been missing that lately. So
Yeah.
that's been great. I'm up to like issue like 64, 65 West Coast
Okay.
Avengers. And the Wonder Man living lightning relationship is way more interesting than the Wonder Man Beast relationship. They like connect on like this whole I'm like I don't know what I am thing like because
Hmm.
I'm energy and it's way more interesting than
Yeah.
the bromance stuff with Beast. Although I do like the kind of turn that his relationship with Beast kind of took recently because Beast is Beast and Wonder Man
Okay.
is like I don't know if I really agree with you, so that's been interesting. But yeah, I'm I'm thriving, living off this
Okay.
content, kicking it.
Okay. I love it. I'm here for it. Well, since you've been doing all your old comic books, let's go ahead and get into the new ones that came out this week. Now, I know you didn't read this, so I'm not even gonna like ask your opinion on it. But I had to read something new this week, and that was Action Comics.
Oh, I didn't read
Yeah, I know.
that.
But no, so I remember I think we talked about this. Like they have the Midnighter back up in it now.
Oh yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
I had to pick it up for that. It is written by Philip.
Who in it?
Apo- I'll tell you.
Okay,
So,
okay.
so it's written by Philip Kennedy with art by Phil Hester. So the story was actually really kind of nice. It was John and Superman, like basically out in space, fighting off some aliens. So for those who don't know, I mean, I really didn't know too much about it until I actually read the issue. But John Kent is Superman's son, and he was recently in the future with the Legion of Superheroes. And so
Yes.
I guess he's now back in the present time, and
Oh,
so he and Superman are like out kind of like having this hero dad son relationship, fighting off monsters and aliens and stuff in space. And so the monster that they go and fight, apparently John already knows that this is the alien that kills Superman.
oh,
And
okay.
so like Superman gets hurt in the battle and John's like all worried, he doesn't know what to do. And Superman's basically like, what's wrong? And John's like, you're going to die. Like it's in all of the history books. I already know, I've seen it, blah blah blah. But Superman's like, look, you don't know that's going to happen for sure. So they fight, and John basically kind of like takes over, so Superman doesn't have to do a lot of the work. And so Superman talks about how he once saw his dad fall off a ladder, and all kids go through this moment where they think their parents are invincible and all of this stuff like that. And it's like you kind of have to come to terms with, like, something's going to happen to me one day. However, like, you have to continue on. And like, it was a nice moment, especially and I know we're gonna talk about this a little bit later. Just having watched Invincible and like seeing the relationship. Yeah, the relationship of Omni-Man and Invincible kind of like animated up on screen, and like then reading this, it was very similar in like, but in a good way. And again, for those who've seen the show, for those who've seen the show, like we'll talk about it a little bit, so you get what I see. But it's like in a good way. So it was like a really nice little moment for them. But more importantly, there was the Midnighter backup. So I think I have to actually go back and read Future State, because the Midnighter in this backup is apparently the one from the Future State future. And so he's like in the present time. And so it's not the Midnighter who we like always know and love. It's written by Becky Cloonan with art from Michael von Oming.
Okay.
So it looks really good. But basically, like, this Midnighter, he's got like this new supercomputer implant, and he goes through it and he's like, okay, I'm back. It's great. But this new upgrade has a voice that talks to him. Have you ever seen this movie called Upgrade?
Mm-mm.
So you should watch it. It's kind of like
something like
yeah. So it's kind of like a modern day RoboCop, a little bit. Not really, but like it's got like that feel to it. This guy, he gets like this chip implant that tells him like how to like do all these things, stop these crimes. It takes over his body and makes him this amazing fighter. This chip kind of reminds me of something like that. But like it's talking to Midnighter, nobody knows he has it. Apollo pops up and he's like, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And Midnighter's like lying to him, like, I'm fine. And then he just goes to sleep and it ends. So it seems interesting enough. I'll have to pick up another issue or two of Action Comics to see like if it continues. I'm a Midnighter fan. I don't honestly know if I really love Becky Cloonan's voice for Midnighter just yet. It was a little too aggressive, like very much like I'm the bad guy. Was it
like that brooding Batman kind of feel?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, just like a pinch of that in there. And it's like, yes, Midnighter kind of goes through these things where he's like, I'm not really like a good guy, like I do bad things, but at the same time, I get it. Like everybody kind of has to get it out of the way when they first write them, so it's like I don't put it too much into it. Like I said, I'm gonna stick with it, see how it goes.
Yeah.
So that was
I'm glad they put that in that book, because I do like Midnighter. I'm more of an Apollo fan. But I like that they are at least putting that in that backup, especially with Action Comics. I'm sure that sells.
Oh yeah, like I was about to say, it's a Superman book. I'm pretty sure it's
right.
So and then I think it's leading into they announced the Superman the Authority book, and so Midnighter and Apollo were like two of the characters who were shown to be on that team. It's like Midnighter, Apollo, Enchantress, Natasha Irons. She's back. Right? Okay. Like, I'm buying the Superman book. It's gonna happen. So
first of all, that sounds like every character you would want on a book.
What do you mean? Like I'm
made for you.
I'm buying a Superman book. It's gonna be crazy. And Grant Morrison's writing it.
Oh. Okay, yeah. I might be in then. Yeah, I want to read that. I want to get some Apollo stories in there, so I'm into that.
I mean, yeah, Apollo's cool.
You're so shady.
All right, so moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Next up on the list, we have Black Panther number 24, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and Daniel Acuna.
Ooh.
Did you get into this?
I did not. I am not a Black Panther fan. So
same, but I really like Daniel Acuna's art, and so this issue actually is the one that had like all the Black heroes teaming up. They're like all in Wakanda, just like saving Wakanda. It's very normal. It's very fine. There's not. I honestly, I can't tell.
Or something.
Again, I haven't really been reading too much of Black Panther, so I don't know everything that happens. I can tell you that there's apparently like a secret intergalactic nation of Wakandans that like nobody knew about, and they're up in space. And so I think they were trying to actually infiltrate like the nation of Wakanda. And so Black Panther actually gets Prodigy to kind of like, this was actually like a really good Prodigy moment. Like if anything, like if you're a fan of Prodigy, I would say get this book. It's like a really good Prodigy moment. He kind of like does a bunch of battle plans. Like they hook him up to this machine and he's like telling people where to go, and like as things happen, he's kind of helping them adapt. Like Monica and Storm have like a really nice team up moment. Like Gentle teams up with like the two Patriots, Eli and Rayshawn, who both show up.
Oh
Um,
wow, okay.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. Like if you like
All
black
right, they
heroes
put
in the
everybody up
MCU,
out the woodwork. All right.
Bishop still wasn't in it though. So
I
like
see. Damn.
it's just like I don't know. I mean, he's a cop, so I get it a little bit. But
Well,
yeah, he wasn't there, but everybody else was, and so it's fun for that. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It's just like a big fun action issue. If you like a lot of the black heroes and you want to see them pop up, go pick that one out.
okay. Yeah, get that.
Yeah. And so moving on, next up on the list we have a book I didn't read. We have Cable #9, Jerry Duggan, and Phil Noto. Now you're gonna have to tell me about this.
This was a book I wonder why did I read? Because I was like, why am I still reading this book? I don't think I like it.
It's because it's Cable, right? You don't like Cable.
Yes. I don't think I really like Cable.
Mhm.
I didn't like older Cable, but when
Right.
they like de-aged him, he got a little bit more fun, a little bit of a different personality. And because he's felt new, I wanted to give this run like a try. And the initial like Jean appearances and like the Summers family appearances were kind of fun, but looking back, they just emphasized the reasons why I've been like having very different opinions about Jean Grey now.
Mm.
And kind of where she is like it
Yeah.
just is her character. And that's just not me. So that's kind of where I've been with her. And for this issue, like it opens with there's this like AIM submarine that's getting a little too close to Krakoa, and Emma sends Cable, and I think he's dating Esme. I think he's dating Esme Cuckoo, and since
I thought he was dating all the Cuckoos.
no, he's dating Esme.
Okay.
Yeah, he's only dating. I think he's only dating Esme because Kid Omega is dating.
Oh, Sophie.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So like, they are saving this submarine in the beginning of the issue, and they like use their telepathic powers to basically take down the AIM people or whatever. And Kid Cable gets this call that he needs to like leave, and Esme is like, "Oh, why don't you stay with me?" He's like, "No, I gotta leave," and no, I gotta leave. And then has this like quick conversation with Emma, and he's like, yeah, I gotta go off and like do this thing. And Emma's like, he says, "Can you like tell her for me that I gotta go?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'll take care of your whatever." And Esme is like, "Oh, where did he leave?" And Emma's like, "Well, I think he just told you that he would rather go deep dive into the ocean than be with you. So what does that tell you?" And he is basically like trying to find Strife. The last issue, I think, is when we were going over him and Domino, like having that Strife thing where he's been learning that Strife has been the one behind. He thinks Strife is the one that's been behind the baby kidnappings.
Okay.
So like that like cult of X or whatever they're called, where like they were stealing babies, but then they find out that like one of the people that was involved with that was a Cable clone, and Strife had been the one who was like cloning all these Cables. So our Cable is basically looking for Strife, and he reaches out to Wolverine and asks him for help to like find Strife. That he says no. He reaches out to Rachel. Rachel does this like full Earth scan, like psychically looking for Strife, and I was like, I don't know if you that powerful, girl. That don't seem
I was
right.
gonna say that sounds like really strong. I mean, she did host the Phoenix. That's supposed to mean something, yes.
Yeah, when she has the Phoenix Force, that would make more sense. But when she ain't got it, like, girl, I don't know if she's able to do all of that.
Right.
But whatever, she couldn't find him. Cable goes to Magic, and because the last time they had any kind of thing where someone was sacrificing mutant babies, it was Inferno. So he's like, great story. He goes to Magic, and Magic is like, maybe I can kind of find him. We go in limbo and ask some people some questions. There's this weird thing of Magic saying she's like the Beyonce of limbo. Yeah.
So go ahead, finish.
Yeah, that felt weird. She could have easily been like, oh, I'm the queen of this shit or something, instead of like making it a Beyonce reference, but whatever. Yeah, long story short, he's like on this mission to like find Strife, and he feels like he can only find Strife and take Strife down with his older self. So he reaches out to Hope, and he wants to basically break the resurrection protocols and revive old Cable. And he's like, I need another Cable, and I need to like break the clause of like no clones or whatever. So that part towards the end of the story got kind of interesting for me because of like the whole breaking the resurrection protocols stuff. Yeah. But otherwise, I was like, I'm not really sure if I really am into this series. I just don't know why I really keep up with it.
Well, it's ending soon anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what made me think like maybe I should keep up with it. But even this is just no. I'll catch the last few issues on Marvel Unlimited. I'm gonna be off this book. Phil Noto's art for me is, I've said this before, where in some issues it's great, but for the most part he has great like sometimes expressive faces. Yeah. It's like the way they're expressing some kind of emotion, but everything looks very like still. And he has great covers, obviously,
beautiful art.
But his interiors are just, I don't really know. So
yeah, I've always kind of felt that way about his interiors. I think like his pinup poster work, fantastic. I think it's a little static, a little flat. It does in his backgrounds. I've said it before; they can be just kind of bare. So I think when he is doing like a very character-centric issue and it needs to be like up close space shots, things like that, fantastic. But if I want something that's gonna have like a little bit more action, or it's gonna have like a big surrounding or a new world, nah.
Yeah.
Love him.
So I am dropping this.
Okay. That's that.
Cable's
well, goodbye to Cable. Wish him the best though. All right, and let's see. Well, next up on the list we got Taskmaster number 5.
Now this.
So again, this is from Jed MacKay and Alessandro Vitti, and I've said it before. I love Jed MacKay.
Yeah,
he's like an up and coming star for me. I don't think between this and like his Black Cat and the Daughters of the Dragon miniseries that he wrote, like this was good. This was good. Very, very good.
Very good. I am now a Taskmaster stan.
Oh, really?
I feel like I've always had a little like soft spot for him because I just always thought he just looked cool.
He got a good design.
He's got a really cool design, and I've always been very into his abilities. And I loved his whole henchman business. I thought that was so cool. That he is truly in it for the check,
and that's it. And he lets you know.
I'm here for the check, and send your henchman down to Taskmaster, and he'll train them up and send them on back. I thought that's great. So, but I'd never really like read a lot of stuff with him other than his appearances in other books.
Okay.
I don't think he's ever had a solo series before. I think he had a mini like back in the day, but I don't think he's ever had like an ongoing series. I wish this was an ongoing. Yeah.
It was really good. So, this was the final issue of this miniseries, and in it, Maria Hill was dead. Someone killed her, and they basically framed Taskmaster for it. So this had Nick Fury Jr. go find Taskmaster to try and help him figure out who was doing it, and then Black Widow on Taskmaster's trail to kill him. Now, we find out that there's something called the Rubicon trigger, and it had a DNA scan of like specific people, White Fox, Phil Coulson, and Okoye. And No, Hyperion wasn't one. Taskmaster just fought Hyperion. Great issue, by
Yes.
the way.
Yeah.
That was
I
nice.
was nervous for him.
Right.
I was like, I don't know how
Um,
you gonna take.
okay. And so like in this issue, Black Widow has finally caught up to Taskmaster, and like they have like this really nice fight scene drawn beautifully by Vitti. It's like brutal. Again, we see Taskmaster's photographic memory skills in action. Like he's calling on moves of different other heroes like Daredevil, Iron Fist, Shang-Chi. But again, like this is Black Widow. He talks about how she has been trained by the best of the best. She is one of the deadliest people out there, and he thinks she can't die because he saw her die, and he saw Captain America kill her in Secret Empire, and he's like, but here she is standing in front of me.
Like,
he's like,
she just won't fucking die. Like
he's
I've
like, so it
seen that
doesn't
she won't
matter. So that was really nice, but like right before she gets that killing blow, who comes back? But Maria Hill, and I just gotta say, this actually made me realize I really enjoy Maria Hill, like as a character.
Yeah,
Like
well, I mean,
I
she's
like her.
like the boss lady. I've
Again,
always,
but
you know,
like since her inception, Maria Hill has gotten like a lot of flack.
really.
And yeah, they hated her.
Okay.
I think it was. I mean, she replaced Fury, and you know how those Fury fans.
Oh,
They're like Barry Allen fans a little bit. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and so she would get a lot of slack for that. And so but I really like her. I don't think she does anything that Nick Fury himself does not do.
No.
And I really actually like the part where she comes back and like Natasha kind of calls her out, and she's like, you use your friends as assets. You didn't tell us the truth. And she was like, yes, I did. And I would absolutely do it again. She's like,
Yeah.
and she's like, and it's like, because really, Natasha, you know how this works. You know the spy game. You've done it yourself. It's like, don't try and get me on that. But the issue ends with basically we find out like this Rubicon trigger is this weapon that Norman Osborn used to destroy the world, because what else would anybody do? And Taskmaster has the codes that will turn it on so they can use the kill switch to dead it. But instead, when he turns it on, he says activate. So he activates it and he just walks off. And like you get all the heroes like screaming, like trying to be like, oh no, we gotta stop this. And like he does this monologue at the end where he's basically like, I'm still a bastard. I'm still kind of like a bad guy. I don't like these heroes. They use me. They played me like a chump. So I'm gonna activate this little thing. They're gonna save the day because they always do. I don't feel bad. He just like walks off.
Loved it. Loved it. I said, you know what? Let's give a round of applause for that.
Is that what it is? That you needed?
Yes. Oh,
Gave you
that
what
was
you needed?
actually exactly what I needed. I was like, because same. You're not finna sit there and play me in front of my face.
Okay.
And I loved that I love the moment when he said they're heroes, like they always save the day. They're gonna fix this. I'm not too worried about it.
Uh-oh.
And I also really liked the way that this story was. I really wish this was going into an ongoing, but I really liked the way that this story like wove its way through like past issues and stuff, with the way that it was like tied to fuck, what's his name when he was the guy who Osborn, like that whole era.
Yeah.
Like I love the way that
Iconic
it was
era. Dark Reign was everything. Dark Reign was everything. Like one of my favorite Marvel eras of all time. Like everything.
Yeah, I liked the way that it was like kind of tied into that. I also loved the moment when Taskmaster and Nick Fury were like driving in that car, and Nick Fury was like, um, this is crazy. Like Maria Hill is the one that made me. Like this is why I'm helping like to solve this. And Taskmaster was like, no. The moment you got made is the moment you saw me standing next to your dead mother. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Like talk about it. Like
I made you. I said, I know that's right.
Iconic.
I loved this issue. I really wish that it was an ongoing. Highly recommend it.
Highly recommend it. Highly. Shout out to Jen McKay. Keep it up, please.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And so next up on the list, Excalibur number 19. From Tini Howard and Marcus.
This is going up and down for me. It's going up and down for me. We were just up. Now we're clicking down.
So I went through a lot of emotions with this book.
Sure.
So, quick synopsis. Psylocke 2 finally comes into the team, and she wants to help them get Betsy back. Betsy's like, Richter is trying to do a spell to get Betsy's psychic essence back into her body, the clone body that Sinister made a few issues back. And they're talking about how the spell's not working. So like Quantum kind of who's Psylocke too, who breaks the jar that was holding Betsy's psychic essence. She flies off in the other world. Then Quantum basically chases after her. And she chases after her and basically tries to calm her down, convinces her to come back, places her in the body. Like it's a very straightforward issue. It's a very character-driven issue. I think it is actually one of the strongest issues of Excalibur to date, both writing-wise, plot-wise. Teeny puts a lot of heart and emotion into it. I think as a Betsy fan, I walked away feeling extremely unsatisfied.
Oh.
And I don't say that again because the story is bad. But for 19 issues of this book, we have had Teeny kind of like taking Betsy through this like you said, up and down battle with herself, her confidence, what she's going through, her role as Captain Britain, her fighting, her powers, all of that. And I greatly appreciate it. I think that for anyone to have a favorite character, you need your favorite character to have a moment where they get completely broken down because they have to have something to rise to. Every hero needs something to rise to. It's like the basis of being a hero. And I've said it before that I don't think Betsy's had such a deep exploration into her character probably since Remeter's Uncanny X-Force. That was the only other time that you really ever saw. I mean, there have been other times before that, but that was one of the most recent times that you can recall Betsy like they're breaking down, crying every 5 seconds, not feeling good enough, not being able to do the job, but like still kind of rising above at the end. I think this issue was the moment that everyone, I won't need to speak for everyone, that I expected Betsy to kind of like have that breakthrough moment because that's kind of what's been presented to us in the story. But we hit issue 19 and once again Betsy walks away kind of with nothing. I think Psylocke 2 was the star of the issue. She walks away kind of coming to terms with the entire body swap. She kind of comes to terms with her place in Betsy's life and Betsy's place in hers, how they'll always be a little bit connected, how they're kind of always going to be a part of each other, and they just like know that what happened wasn't really either one of theirs fault. They were both victims in this situation, and she feels at peace with it. Betsy kind of just goes along with it. You never really get into her mindset. She doesn't really say anything. She just kind of agrees with everything at the end. And that's what becomes so unsatisfying because again, for 19 issues, everyone's kind of been telling her how to feel. Everyone's been saying, oh, well, she seems very upset about this. She's very angry about this. Like she's hiding out from this. And she has herself has not had any agency in the situation. And so here was this moment that feels like it should have been something for both of them. Because again, a big part of that has been Betsy's uncomfortableness seeing Psylocke 2 back and like Psylocke 2 taking her name and like also using the butterfly and kind of being a better hero right now than she's been as Captain Britain. And so I think even if like some of the dialogue had just been given to both of them, it's just like for Betsy, it's like, no, once again, it's just someone telling her like, no, this is how it is. This is how you feel. This is what it should be. And she's just like, okay. And so it's like, when is she finally going to actually start leading some of these conversations instead of reacting to them? And so for that, it was just like, it's been a long journey.
It's been one.
It's been a very long journey.
I don't think I want to be a part of it anymore.
But again, I mean, so, and I'm trying not to be too critical of it because there is still one issue left of this arc. So, we find out that when Betsy's new clone body was attacking the team beforehand, it was actually Malice, who was like her choker was in Betsy, or I'm going to assume Sinister put her there somehow. And so she like took over the body, but when they put her back in it, Malice was cast out, and then she ran to Krakoa. So now the next issue is they're going to be like on Krakoa looking for her. I think this could be the potential place where Teeny kind of has Betsy like once again.
Wait, how did Malice get into Rogue?
She was trying to go into Rogue. When Betsy coughed,
Betsy
like coughed up the necklace, she was trying to like go into Rogue.
Oh, got it.
Um,
I thought she was initially just coming out of Rogue.
yeah, no.
Got it. Got it.
Again, like that's something that the art could have showed a little
The
bit better.
art, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but but next issue could be the one where Betsy, as a Betsy fan, like what I'm looking forward to in the next issue is that could be the one where Betsy kind of like steps up and it's like, okay, we got Psylocke 2's POV of this. Now here's mine as we like go in and try and fight Malice. So let me save the day and be the hero that I'm supposed to be. So like that could absolutely still happen. I don't know if I'm actually believe it will, but
Mm.
again, I'm gonna stick. I'm. This book has me for 2 more issues. I'm
Mm.
definitely going to buy the next issue because I want to see how this all ends up. I've been saying that again. I understand the journey that Teeny is trying to take Betsy on. It's just very up and down, and it's kind of getting to the point where it's like, all right, I don't even mind that she's still sad. I just mind that she can't say anything about why she's sad. It's just like I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for these character moments, and they're just not happening. And it's like the way the story is kind of told, you kind of have to pull teeth to like get to
Mm.
the conclusion that you want to, and you have to like fill in the blanks. And it's like it's an extremely frustrating read. Again, Excalibur is my favorite book. Okay, it's an extremely frustrating read.
Your favorite one?
My favorite one. My favorite one. It has my favorite character. Like
I
ever.
see.
Like,
Yes.
it's like here, like it's there. What am I gonna do? Um, but I want to see how it ends, and then it definitely has me for the Hellfire Gala issue.
Hmm.
And after that, we will see.
Yeah, I won't be long because I don't want to drag on the book for myself. But I got into this book, this series anyway, because I do like Betsy, and like I was always a fan of her during like that Outback era. Betsy is probably my favorite of hers. Um, back before she became like the sexy ninja girl. And I thought that as we got more into Excalibur, we were going to explore more of her.
Mhm.
And now that she's come away from the whole like sexy ninja girl motif and she was back in her original body, but I don't know. I realized that like I don't care about Excalibur. So
Yeah,
like I
I don't think
I
anyone
don't
does at this point.
Otherworld or any of that shit. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about the mutant magic. It didn't turn out to be like kind of what I thought it was going to be. Um like it, it becoming this whole like synergy thing to me feels like I don't know,
I think my thing with
unsatisfying.
mutant magic, I think my thing with mutant magic is I don't mind it. I still like the concept. I think it's still. I think again, Teeny kind of like relies too much on the reader to like do the work of like how it works and what it should be doing instead of letting the
Mhm.
characters explain that a little bit more. Even like when we had Richter like yelling about why his spell didn't work. It's why does it matter where they are? Like who's kind of the basis of that? Those are still things we don't know and we're still kind of waiting on answers for.
Richter is a whole new character.
Yeah, he's awful. He's like actually my least favorite part of the book. Um,
Like a
but I
whole new one.
also, but I also think my thing with mutant magic is that once we kind of realize that mutant magic, mutant technology, mutant synergy, all of these like different names are just mutants using their powers together, it kind of lost. Like in my opinion, I think all of them just kind of lost their luster. Like it sounds cool, like in the beginning, it's a very nice concept. It's a different way to use it, but it's like let's call a spade a spade. It's just mutants like combining their powers, which
The
is
power,
great,
yeah. Hmm.
which is like great and cool and it's like fun to see and I appreciate the name, but it's like you don't have to do so much work to make this work. It's a very simple. You know what I'm saying? It's
No.
like Richter shouldn't be like fasting and struggling and like doing all of this stuff to read all these books. Like combine your powers. Do whatever you need to do.
Just keep it moving. You don't have to go through this whole like grimoire thing and all of that. Like, I don't know. I feel like we could have gotten here a lot faster.
Yeah. So that's that. Again,
So
I think
and
the
so
issue
then like
was
outside of that stuff, like
mm,
then the Betsy stuff was what was kind of keeping me into the book because I
yeah.
wasn't so much into the Excalibur stuff. But even that for me has been just kind of flat. Like I know that this has been something that she has always like worked towards. She wants to be Captain Britain, but I feel like now I want to hear more about what this all means from her and
Exactly.
All we've ever gotten is everybody telling us how she's supposed to feel, or random characters from the 90s who haven't progressed yet sitting around doing nothing. That's all. That's what the rest of the team is. A bunch of characters from the 90s who haven't done anything since.
Okay. Wow.
I'm truly.
I mean, you're not wrong. I'm not.
We're in a whole new era, and it's time to like push these characters forward, and they're just like sitting around doing nothing.
The whole team could be like, honestly, this book can be repurposed into it can honestly still be called Excalibur, but if they're not named Braddock, they don't need to be in the book.
Right.
Betsy, Brian, Megan, Maggie, and Jamie. That's really all the book needs.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, you can maybe bring in like a couple of other like magically attuned mutants or something like that. I wouldn't mind a pixie showing up every now and again. But
Betsy solo then at that point. Just do that.
Yeah.
This
I
would probably
agree.
be a better book if it was just a Betsy solo. And
Agree. And I think that's where Teeny shines. Like, again, like this was a great issue for Psylocke too, like because it was Teeny was focused on like one single character. And again, and this is where I say it kind of feels frustrating because I think about the moment where she like runs out with the Starlight Sword.
Mm-hmm.
And Betsy is like taking in her body again, and they have this moment where she's like, I know you're not really the person who's going to like take my body for your own gain. Like, that's not who you are. That's not what you're about. Use my body. It's like when she pops back through and she's holding the Starlight Sword, it just feels like a moment for her. Like, where's Betsy? Oh, because Betsy's supposed to, because the sword is purple. And she's like, oh, temporarily I'm both. It just looks like you. And that's something where I say and that's something where I say I feel like the art would have helped a little bit, because you could have like if when she came through, if the hair was like dark purple again, you know what I'm saying? To just kind of like give that little callback together and conjoined. It's just like, it just did not feel like a moment for Betsy, and that's what it was touted as. So it's like, again, I think Psylocke 2 has had an amazing character journey from fallen angels to Hellions to now. She feels complete. She feels different. She feels new. Like, and I think about her as a character, it's interesting because she is the assassin. Like, she's done all this stuff. She's kind of at a point right now, I feel like, where she just wants to chill. Like, if her daughter came back and you got Greyco and her, and you got to let them live on Krakoa, just doing nothing, just being happy together, they would be fine.
Yeah.
Betsy would not be fine with something like that. And I think that is a very distinct difference in their characters that I'm so happy I can like very clearly see. Like, these are two different women now. And it's like, that is great. That's great.
So do you feel like Betsy has come away from that whole assassin motif then? That whole thing?
Yeah, yes, but I feel like they were trying to move her, like, even before she switched back, or before she became Captain Britain, like, they were trying to move her away from that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had put the X-Force days behind her a little bit. She was like trying to find redemption. She was trying to be the hero again. When she was on Magneto's team, her whole thing was like, I'm tired of like killing. I'm tired of being this hero of the shadows. Like, I'm working with you to do good, but it's just not working. And
she was more there to like watch him, to make sure that he didn't like, step out of line.
Yeah,
the rest of the team.
Yeah, she was like, I don't care. She's like, I'll do it. She's like, but I don't want to. But that's always kind of been Betsy's thing anyway. She like struggles with that aspect. So it's like, it's fine. Again, I think the story of Excalibur and what it's doing and breaking her down, and like her kind of struggling with being this open hero that is Captain Britain, where you can't do things like sneak around and like shank somebody with your psychic knife. You have to be like out in the public eye. You have to be this representative for people, even if you don't want to be it. It's great. I just think I would like a little bit more payoff. And again, it's not, I don't need her to like jump from sad to like bad bitch in 10 seconds.
Right.
I've been reading Immortal Hulk for however many issues, and Bruce is still sad. Like, Bruce is still sad and suffering. However, we know that because he's talking about it. Like, he's saying it. You're getting those character moments, and that's what's keeping you invested. It's just getting a struggle to like stay invested in something that I have to keep creating myself.
Ooh, all right, that was a word.
So that was Excalibur 19. Come back for issue 20. The team will be fighting Malice. I do like Malice. I think she's a very interesting villain. We'll see what happens.
You know, I have a very interesting
Oh, you
relationship
do. Because of
with
Lorna. Yes, yes, yes. I
and
forgot all
Prue.
about that. Yeah.
My
Oh, that's right.
Malice has taken over both of my top two favorite characters,
Yeah,
and
she.
both times, all it did was just show how bad ass my faves are.
That's all it is.
I mean,
Malice,
it's
Malice, and Proteus were like always good to like just remind you that these characters are
yeah.
powerful. Because they're gonna take over your powers and use them better than you, and just gonna be like, oh, it's like I'll never forget during the Necrosha arc when Proteus took over Husk, and he was like, I don't like this power. It's ugly. It's random. But like it's effective, and he makes her go to some form where she starts like shooting off fire blasts. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, she's
Yeah.
cool. She's not, but she's cool.
She's not.
All right, and so to round us off with the comics of the week this week, I guess, is Guardians of the Galaxy number 12,
Yes.
Al
back up
Ewing
again.
and Juan Cabal. I'm at a point where I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. This is like Immortal Hulk territory for me. Like it's good.
It's
I don't know what
getting there. Yeah.
I don't know what you want me to say. Like pick it up. I am a little like I'm a little upset because Wonka Ball is like leaving the book for the next few issues. So okay, so the book is fantastic. I'm just gonna go to the ending of it, where basically a bunch of Skrulls come up to the Guardians and they're like, "We have to change the way you guys work. It's not effective anymore." And so they thought they were gonna shut them down.
It was Kalart, Super Skrull. He's like
Oh, what?
like yeah,
Oh,
director
yeah.
of the-
I don't really, you know, the Skrulls. I'm not.
But you know it's all but it's like he like is the Skull rep, but like what's his name? Your boy's husband is the leader of this Kree Skrull Empire now.
Yeah.
You don't care about
him. So he pops down. He's like, you know, the Guardians gotta like do a little bit better. And so they think Nova's like, you can't shut us down. He's like, what is that going to do for anybody? Like, no. And so the ending of the book kind of shows like a big splash page of the new team. The Guardians are like working in the Galactic Council of some sort, it seems like. And
loving it.
The roster has expanded a little bit. So we see like Adam Warlock in there. And so for the next few issues, we see that it's going to be even bigger. We see that folks like Wiccan and Hulkling are going to be on the team, but we have a new artist for that arc. So I don't know if Juan Cabal is just taking a break, but he needs to come back because the fact that Wiccan wasn't in that splash page with all the other new team members drawn by Juan Cabal, I'm like very upset. And if I don't get a Juan Cabal Wiccan, I'm going to like.
That splash page is what actually made me realize, you know, I usually am in that super powered space, like not quite cosmic, but definitely not like a shoe level. But I was like, should I get it more into the cosmic books? I've read a lot of them, but I feel like I haven't read a lot of like the long standing runs for people.
Ones.
Like that splash page made me think, should I get into Nova? I feel like Nova.
I feel like Nova's a character you
like. Yeah, yeah.
That
but I don't know if I've ever really. I don't know if I would like Nova as much as I may like the core or someone in the core. I don't know how big of a. I don't know if they've ever taken Nova to the Green Lantern route where there was like this expansive core and like you can pick your favorite one kind of thing, or if they always just focused on Richard Rider. But I think I want to get into like Nova and more of the cosmic characters.
You should. Tell me how
it works. Also made me realize just how powerful Moondragon is. I feel like I undersell her like telepathy.
Like that was the dragon of the moon, baby. Yeah, she came out. She came out like beautiful. Again, like the art. This is a showcase on like how good Wonka Ball's art is because the way he like made all of those pages look from like when she was transforming to when she like trapped them in the psychic prison to when like Novar, Star-Lord, and Moondragon like combined their powers together to make like the black hole bullet. Like
yes.
When this is a movie,
the way the bullet like was combined and shot over, I like the way that he mapped out those pages was really dope. The way that Moondragon used her telepathy to trap that Olympian in Groot's head, and the way that it like like transformed into I Am Groot was so cool.
It was sick. Beautiful. This was my comic book of the week, hands down.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
You gotta go. People gotta go pick it up. I don't know what to say. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what else to say really about this. It was really great. They fought all of the Olympians. They obviously won at the end. Um, no major casualties. The best part was for me was the expansion of them at the end. You know, I love a rotating roster.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
always good.
love a rotating roster. So I'm excited to see like where the whole like team goes. It looks like they are gonna have two quasars because it
Yeah,
looks like
I think both are there, the girl and the
yeah.
guy. I don't really know too much about the quasar, so it's like I don't know what to tell you, but they're
They
there.
have like they have the like bands that basically give them like Green Lantern like powers. Almost like exactly kind of like Green Lantern powers. um I don't
We'll
know
see.
the girl was in the Captain Marvel book, I
I
think.
remember the girl from Secret Empire,
Empire. Yeah.
and she like was in a coma or something, and Carol was like crying to her. But again, I didn't know
Yeah.
it was. I'm not into
Time. Yeah. It was a different time.
it.
But definitely pick this book up, y'all. It's really great.
Absolutely.
What else to say? But
That was
go
it.
get it.
That was it. But those were the books of the weeks. Let's go ahead. Let's take a little break. We'll come back.
Let's do it. All right, y'all. Welcome back to another rewatch. This time we are rewatching Invincible episodes 1 through 3. So on this was on Amazon
Amazon
Prime.
Prime. Yes.
Amazon Prime, and let's just get right on into it.
I loved it.
I really loved it. You know, this was based off of the Invincible comic by
Hmm.
Robert Kirkman, who is also behind The Walking Dead.
Hmm.
And it is the Invincible is pretty much just this. I used to like read the comics back in the day. I never finished them because I think there was a time there was a little bit of a break. A lot of, you know, those image schedules and those indie books.
Very impossible. Like
Yeah,
you'll get one maybe like you get maybe like one or two a year.
right, right.
On a good day.
And Invincible was going for a while, but I feel like there was a little bit of a break at some point, like a little hiatus. But I was a big fan of the book. It's about Mark Grayson, who is the son of Omni-Man, which think of like a Superman type character. He doesn't have laser vision or anything like that, but he's like super strong, can fly really fast, all that kind of stuff. And he's this big known superhero on Earth. It is the story of his son, Mark Grayson, and how his powers are starting to like develop, and he's like super excited. He's always wanted to be a superhero like his dad. It's never been a secret to him that his dad was a superhero. He kind of told him about it like pretty early on because he knew that at some point his son was gonna have powers.
Okay.
Um,
Go ahead, let him
and
know.
this cartoon or this animated series, I should say, is pretty much just like a complete adaptation of that, and I completely was blown away by it. I loved all of the voice acting. Um, Mark Grayson is being voiced by Stephen Young, who is
Mm,
I forget who he played in The Walking
Walking
Dead.
Dead. He plays
Yeah.
Glenn. I think
Oh
that's his
yeah,
name.
Glenn. Yeah, yeah. And I think I think he's nominated for an Oscar in
I think Minari, was that the name of the movie?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was the name of the movie. Yeah, or Makari or something like that. I don't know. Either way, talented guy. Really
Very.
enjoyed him as the voice actor here, and yeah. So we get the first 3 episodes. This first episode opens with the Guardians of the Globe, who are pretty much like it seems like every like comic book universe has
Has
some
their own
knockoff
Justice League.
Justice League. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, because it's like, I mean, it's the
I
Justice
mean,
League. Like
yeah.
they are the pinnacle of superheroes. I mean, it's interesting now. I think we talked about this a little bit last week too. It's like, do people still consider the Justice League like the pinnacle of superhero teams, or has the Avengers kind of overtaken that spot?
That's a good question again to kind of bring up, because I feel like while we was in the context of this show, I feel like it kind of emphasized that the Justice League became more of like the prototypes of what a superhero team should look like, whereas like the Avengers kind of pushed forward that you could just kind of like make a team of superheroes work together,
Yeah.
like a bunch of coworkers. Whereas the Justice League is like prototypes of, what the team, what like superhero teams should like kind of look like.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you learn in this, I mean, you see in this first issue, the first episode, that the Guardians of the Globe are in. They're fighting these like two twin characters, who are like super strong, these big blue alien kind of looking guys. And the Guardians of the Globe come in and they use all their really cool powers to evacuate all of the people first, because that's what the heroes do. And
Okay.
then afterwards, Warrior Woman, who is pretty much Wonder Woman, she starts to attack the two twins. They take them out and have the big pose of them being the Guardians of the Globe. So right off the bat, I'm like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, like, and that was like the first like 10 minutes of it too.
Yeah, it was very early.
Great way to like reel me in and like get me on that action tip, because it was like they did what needed to be done there. I was like, this is fine. And I like how they also kind of made it a big thing to be like, let's clear the civilians out first. Like, get all the people away, make sure, like, because of course it's chaos. So what are people going to do when nothing but danger is around? They're going to stay in there and watch. So, the Guardians kind of like clear them out.
Leaving. I'm like,
so, I used to think about that all the time. I'll never forget how when I was younger, I was at my grandmother's house and there was like a building across the street from her and it was on fire. And like all these people just came outside to just watch this building on fire. And it's like when I see situations like that, I always used to think like, why would people stand around and just watch this stuff? But I don't know. It's just something about it. You just go and you look and you're just like, okay, this is in front of me right now.
That is wild. I'm out.
It's like, oh wow. It's just like, I can't wait to see how this plays out.
So we get some of that, and then we are then introduced to Mark, and he is at home, and you see him like, I think actually we go into like him into the school, and we meet William, who I think they had a much better version of him being gay in this than they did in the comic.
Okay.
The comic is a little dated and it came out in like the early 2000s. So think of the way that gay representation back then was very like
That's an episode for another day.
Exactly. He was gay in the comic, but the way it was portrayed was a little of its time. Here they really just made it feel as though he was just a gay kid at the school, and him and Mark were like good friends. I thought it was funny when they're like talking about Omni-Man, who came in at the end of that with the Guardians of the Globe and like helped defeat those twins, and they're talking about, oh, Omni-Man like saved the day, and William's like, yeah, he is very fine. Like, oh, that mustache. And Marcus like, you're talking about he's looking at him like, you're talking about my dad.
Yeah,
so,
it's gross.
And William was like, oh, right, straight shit. Let's you want to talk about that? So I thought that was like a cute moment for them, that they're like just friends or whatever.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the animation for this?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying. Like, I went back and I watched the first episode this morning, and to see, like, I think there were a couple of parts where it was a little static, and it doesn't really like flow that well. I don't know if that's just the way the style works. It almost seems like the characters are pausing before they like do certain things. And so that was kind of weird. It's not a continuous flowing motion, which is like, okay, but it's animation, so I expect people to stand still sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like this for me it has that very like Young Justice kind of animation style anyway. But Young Justice is better animated in my opinion. Invincible, and this is probably something that was just more of a budgeting thing. Invincible could use a lot more keyframes sometimes, and like the more keyframes you have, the more like fluidity you get. That's why a lot of Disney stuff is very fluid because they got the money to afford the keyframes. Okay. So, like I think that this one could use a few bit, but for the most part, like the action portions of it, I thought were very well done.
Exquisite.
Yeah.
Like beautiful. Like I was definitely drawn into the action the entire time. Like everything, and I was actually very appreciative of how frequently we got it. I feel like a lot of times in certain shows, again, this was the first 3 episodes, so it could change. But I feel like a lot of times in shows, they kind of like ramp up the action for you a lot in the beginning, and as it continues on, you don't get as much, obviously, because they try and focus more on the character development. I like for this that they very much made the character a part, or the character development a part of the fights. Like Invincible kind of has to go through these battles and like see what real fighting is, what real war is, what being a hero really is about, and how he's reacting to those situations. And in that, you get some really good stuff to see.
Yeah, the fights are pretty great. So as you later on in that night, like you see his powers kind of emerge. He was taking out the trash and threw that dumpster into space.
Like, damn, where that trash land? I know I'm gonna be mad.
Right. Right. So he does that, and so he runs home, tells his dad that his powers are there. He goes off and like trains with his dad. And this is where you start to see, at least for me anyway, because I kind of read the comic. I read the comic, so I kind of know where this is kind of going. Where you start to see the like temper that the dad can kind of have.
He was definitely an angry man.
Yes. Okay. So
well, I was like, whoa! I was like, he's a little angry over there.
Got excited you a little bit.
Like, whoa.
So like him and his son are out there like training or whatever. He punches the shit out of him and knocks the wind out of Mark and throws him off guard. Later on, Mark tries to like stop this robbery, and he like has this heart to heart with his dad about like, I really just like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to be like you. And he takes him to the tailor to figure out his suit. That first costume he tried on, I didn't think it was that bad.
I didn't think it was that bad either. I agree the colors weren't to my taste.
Yes, same.
The coloring was bad, but I didn't think the costume itself was actually that bad.
Yeah, I liked the design. The colors, I wouldn't have worn the colors, but I didn't think the design was that bad. And
but I also wouldn't wear the yellow that he has. Yellow doesn't look good on my skin, so it doesn't matter. I can't wear that color either.
I don't mind it.
I was about to say, you look fine in yellow. Like, it works for you. It's very harsh against mine. You know who did have a good costume though? Omni-Man.
I really liked his costume. Of course you did.
But I was about to say, you know why? That white. It's it's something about a primary, like a costume that has a lot of white in it with like just one other color. It's excellent. Excellent.
Noted. I think that his costume is pretty cool. I don't like the cape, but you know.
Even the cape I didn't mind. Even like, I usually don't like capes, but this time I wasn't against it. But again, like it's the Superman archetype. You can't have him without a cape. You
gotta have him with the cape, yeah. So he gets his own little costume, and or at least he's like trying to get to a costume or whatever, and then his son, the dad Omni-Man tells him like, the difference between you versus everyone else is like everyone thinks that they're invincible when they're their age. You actually are, and that's when he kind of says, "Oh shit! Like I got my name. I'm gonna be invincible."
That's a cute moment.
Yeah, I feel like that was nice to see that he feels like he got the name from his dad. That's pretty cool. Which was something that happened exactly like in the comic, so that was nice. Now, next we see at the end of it, all of throughout the episode or whatever, all of the Guardians of the Globe have gotten this call that they need to come and meet up like at their headquarters, and they get there and like This scene, in my opinion, was intense as hell.
Like,
Like, oh my gosh.
I love a good fight scene.
It was
I
just as brutal
love
as the comic, by the way.
it. Oh, it was. So I was like kind of worried about it because I've read like a couple of the Invincible comics, but like I haven't kept up with it fully. So I didn't like. I kind of figure what was going on. Like I tell that whatever's happening, but that fight and like when he came in and like actually did it, and he was taking them out. Like I loved how real it felt, and
Yeah.
it was. Parents, make sure you if you want your kids to watch this, watch it first. Because I'm not even a person who like really like shies away from gore, but there were a couple of moments where I was kind of like, oh, like
Yeah.
damn, like when Omni-Man grabbed Darkwing and like slammed him onto the ground, like face first.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and then like you see that he's still alive, and so he like kind of gets up, and it's like, oh, and then he does it again. It's just like, damn, like that hurt because it's like, and I was just watching, I was like, damn, I know his face hurt right now, like it was bad. When he got the fish guy, that was sad. When he got Warrior Woman.
When he turned her neck around, that was and when she coughed afterwards still, I was like, oh my God. Gruesome.
I was like this but I also appreciated kind of like how real it was. Everybody likes to go through those things of Superman and like this character can beat him if they do this and that, and like I think this is one of those examples. Like
no,
it's like even like your Wonder Womans and all of them, it's like you can have all that fighting and everything that you want in the world, but it's like if that man really wants to rip your head off, he's gonna do it, and you can't stop him.
It seemed like all of them were like truly fighting for their lives.
like no, when she said to the guy, she was like, it's either him or us, and the guy was like, I choose us. It was like, okay, like do not let up, and it still didn't work.
It's funny you said that you like Omni-Man's costume because I really like Impossible Man's costume. Yes, which is the capeless, darker version of his Omni-Man's costume. Exactly. I really like it. And if they do what they did in the comics, I'm not going to spoil it, but if they do what they did in the comics, like later on, be on the lookout for that. It's going to be really good.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's going to be great. I liked the first episode. It was a great like introduction to like the Invincible universe, I guess you kind of call it or whatever. And just kind of following up with like Mark Grayson. I think that it is great to see this, like it's an Asian lead and his mom is an Asian woman. I also find like I like her way more than like a Lois.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because where Lois kind of is great because she's like this badass like reporter or whatever, and she's like the one who owns her own like person. Not everyone is going to be that like crazy reporter kind of thing, and I like that. Although she is like a regular human, she is very like aware of her relationships, everything, surroundings with everything.
Yeah,
I love it. She's like, oh, I know that my husband is gonna be back. Like, if I was to ever be with Superman, I feel like, would you ever really want to worry about him like being killed, or would you just be more upset that he was late?
Exactly. It's like I could, but then at the same time, you have like she kind of got to a point where she was just like, oh, he's gonna be late for dinner. Like, okay, I'll put it in the fridge. Like, it's fine. It's just like, this is who he is. This is what he does. Like, he's gonna come back. But then, I think because a big part of it was when he went to go fight the Guardians. Like you said, they kind of had that all or nothing mentality in there, and so they were trying to beat his ass. And so even though he survived, when they bring the family in to come see him, like she's like, okay, he is hurt. She's like, but I know how to patch him up. And like, that she kind of makes that stand against him. She's like, I've been doing this for 20 years, like all these machines, whatever. It's like, we're going to get him better. And it was like, yes, these unknown assailants, that can be scary. But when I know it's something that he's done before 100 times, he can just go on and do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like that a lot. So that leads us right on into like the next episode. And so we end with all of the Guardians of the Globe being killed. and Omni-Man pretty much just passes out like there. on the ground with
Yeah.
them covered in their blood. So we open with this next episode with the I forget what they're called. Oh, the Global Defense Agency. So like they are like, I don't know what to call them, like the UN basically. Like I don't know what's the equivalent of them, but they have been working with the Guardians of the Globe basically to like around with telling them about the threats around the world, and they are there inspecting like what all went down there, and they are all like blown away because like it's the Guardians of the Globe or like the Justice League. You see these people save the world
from like big crazy stuff all the time.
And like who could have possibly killed them? Even the characters in those who don't have powers, whatever, they've also been there front lines with those people saving the world.
Yeah.
Even those characters you would think like, how could they possibly have died right now? So they're all freaking out, throwing up at the sights of like people's guts and stuff everywhere.
The throwing that was a nice touch. It felt very real. It was like, oh my god, like this is some crazy stuff right now.
Right, and then they like try to secure like the bodies and all of that kind of stuff. So that was a lot. But I did appreciate the realness of it because again, that was literally just like it was in the comic. They did not stir away from the graphicness. If you have ever seen, The Walking Dead, it's just as graphic. So Robert Kirkman is not afraid to be very like real with the way that the body would actually react to these kind of things, especially like people with superpowers. Superman should easily be able to punch a hole through a person.
Like down bad.
Which we see him do. So then there's like this demon who like shows up, who is basically Etrigan, right? Okay.
Love it, but I loved it. Like, but he looked good though. Like his little trench coat, the whole design, the red, he looked good. I was like, I'm into it.
Yeah. He's basically Etrigan, and he's been telling them that he's gonna come in and figure out the case, basically. And like his deal is something with like he's good soul to soul or whatever. So he needs to help people who have died or whatever to get his soul back. I don't know if that's just like Etrigan. Is it?
So Etrigan's soul is like bonded with Jason Blood. It's a whole thing. They're in Justice League Dark. So I'm pretty sure we'll get an Etrigan at some point in time. Ooh, that might be a character panel.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. I haven't read anything, so that'd be cool. I'm not lying.
I'm gonna put him on the list.
All right. Yes. So then all of a sudden there is a Flaxen invasion, and this is when things for me took off.
Okay.
Okay, because
was it Eve? Was it Eve?
Baby.
It's always a redhead. It's always a redhead.
It is, it's something about a force field that just does it for me.
I actually agree with that. The force fields are nice. Because they're so versatile. You can do a lot with them.
Hey. Nothing wrong with being versed. So the team comes in, and this is like basically like the Teen Titans, and it is Adam Eve, Rexplode, Robot, and Duplicate, and their names are all like, I love them.
Like they're very comic booky too, which I also gotta love. It's appreciate a lot.
I love a good comic booky name.
Right? Captain America and stuff like that. Like those are all comic book names.
Yeah, I love that shit. So they are all in, and they're like using all their powers and stuff to take down the Flaxens. Really cool animation that you see from Eve throwing up force fields to push people back and doing all that kind of stuff. They actually changed her powers on the show versus in the comic.
Yeah.
In the comic, she has like matter manipulation power. She's like Cersei from the Eternals. So like she could change something into anything else. So
yeah,
kind of do anything. It was kind of overpowered. On the show, I liked what they've kind of done there and just made it more like force fieldies kind of stuff, which was really cool. The Flaxens all of a sudden like start to die And
Yeah,
because
disintegrating or
like
like getting real pasty and old.
yeah, so like we learned Robot is the one that kind of like finds out that they were dying because like their time didn't adjust to like our time stream or something because of the portal thing that they came over. So they all ended up dying. They all the kids end up meeting up afterwards. Eve ends up actually learning. I'm sorry, reverse that. Incredible learns that Eve is at his school, and it's this girl named Samantha Eve Wilkins, who like he could never put two and two together, and they meet up after school, and she's like, "Oh, you were that guy in the yellow that was helping us out," and he was like, "Oh yeah, you're like Adam Eve," and she was like, "I never put it together that like we went to school together," and she's
And
like,
she
"Yeah,
said,
when you're not looking for a superhero, you're not gonna see it," and I was like, "Oh, that makes sense."
I see, like that's a word. It's a word.
Yeah. So um they like are chopping it up or whatever. You can tell that there's starting to be something there from Mark where he starts to really have eyes for Eve. But later on you see that Eve is with Rex, and that doesn't go over well, which were you a fan of all of the voice acting for all of the kids? I know
So
there
I was
was I can't think of his name right now. Uh
I was actually just about to say I did not enjoy the voice acting for Rex Blood.
oh, okay.
Uh,
He was I feel like I've heard a lot of I couldn't tell who that was and I didn't like look it up. Who was he?
it's very familiar, and I can't think of his name right now. But I know as soon as I get it, I'm gonna be
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I should have known that name from the beginning. But I just do not enjoy it. It's very grating, and also he sounds so much older. Like I know they're supposed to be teenagers, but like he does not sound like a teenager.
Mhm.
And I didn't enjoy the delivery. I don't enjoy the tone. I feel like even Steven and some of the other people, they've kind of like changed the inflection of their voices a little bit to make them
Mhm.
sound younger. This one just was not, and there's no.
He
He was the big
sounds
one.
he very well could be the same person, but he sounds like that one character on Big Mouth. I don't know if you ever watched that animated series before.
Mm-mm.
The character that like was humping his pillow, the little boy that was doing that.
Yes,
Isn't it the same?
yes,
They
yes.
sound the same.
I'm pretty sure that's the same guy. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, because that's what I kept saying. I was like, I know this voice from somewhere else too, and I could not place where it was.
I think that's him.
Yes, and it's weird. If it's definitely him for sure, which I think it is. I enjoy him there. I do not enjoy him on this one.
Yeah. The arrogance in his voice, which has to come through with Rex, still sounds kind of kiddish, I guess, where it works for Big Mouth, but probably not so much where he's about to be a teenager. I thought it was fine. I didn't really think it was that bad. Um, so after he meets the team, I cannot think of the guy who played Sylar in Heroes.
Oh, I wasn't a Heroes fan.
Oh, well, yeah, it went off the rails.
I can't tell you anything about that.
But he does the voice of Robot, which I thought was perfect. He was also Spock. Why am I blanking on his name? Um, in the he was Spock
Which,
in the Star Trek movies. I can't think of his name. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Zachary Quinto.
I was like, who plays Spock in the Star Trek movies? I could not remember.
Yeah, he's
I like
Robot.
him.
I thought he was
Um,
nice too.
he did really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a lot of that like very like cold, droll delivery. Um, it worked. Robot. They were poor Robot. They were disrespecting him the entire time.
Yeah.
Like giving him a lot. Like it was kind of like,
I care,
damn.
just like a robot. They just feel like, oh, you don't matter. Like you're just a
Yeah.
thing.
So,
They really treat him kind of poorly. And then this episode kind of ends where the Flaxens end up coming back because in their time it's been like 30 years, even though for them it's been like half an hour
yeah.
or like 3 days. The Flaxens come back, try to invade again, but the teen team ends up like losing a lot. And of course, Omni-Man ends up coming through and saving the day and helping them out. And then he goes through their portal back through the time where they were, because they're like trying to escape, and that's where you see Omni-Man just like truly wreak havoc and
Icon.
destroy all of these people, and and you wonder like, oh my god, like what is look how like angry and like, I don't want to say, well, no, evil he is, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Evil he is. And that is also where we get the line from the mom where Grayson comes home, or
Yeah.
Mark Grayson comes home, tells the mom like, oh, dad came and saved the day, but he went through the other portal. He is trapped over there. And the mom is like, oh, okay. It's gonna be late. So like, I'll just leave his dinner like in the fridge or something.
Yeah. Like, she's cool.
I thought that was great. And she was like, I was worried to see him patched up like that after the whole Guardians of the Globe thing. But like, I know him and he'll be back. And sure enough, he did come back and everything was fine. And
Mm-hmm.
so the next episode leads us with Omni-Man delivering a eulogy for the Guardians of the Globe, and it's all being televised, and he's giving this speech about how like great they were his co-workers and all this other stuff, and we all know that it's some BS because he was the one that did
What
it.
an actor. He needs an award.
Yes.
Something. Because he
Yeah.
sold it. I was like, this is it. And the speech was given. Like, the speech was very heartfelt. The speech
Yeah.
was very like emotional. Like, I was kind of watching it like, damn, like this is sad. But like, we do still got heroes. And then it's like, oh, this man is evil. I love it.
I was moved.
I was like, yes, he's a
Yeah.
sociopath. Great.
Yes.
Great.
So Cecil, who is like the head of the global organization that helps all the heroes or whatever, he comes to Robot and says, I need you to like build a new Guardians of the Globe. And this is where the expansion of the character roster kind of happens, where we meet all these other characters who have also been heroes. And we see Monster Girl, who is like, she's
She was
fun.
great. She was great.
Cracking those dick jokes on Rexplode was funny.
Mm-hmm.
This was after we had learned that Rex was cheating on Eve with Duplicate, because Eve walked in on it. Men.
It's awful. It's awful.
Poor girl. And the redheads always end up getting cheated on and
I
walking in.
wasn't. I literally just had that thought. I wasn't gonna say it, but I did just have that thought. I was like, damn, that's like it's just the redheads. It's like a curse. I don't know.
That sucks for them. They ended up finding that out. They're all at the auditions for Guardians of the Globe stuff. We find out that Monster Girl is not really like a girl. She is getting ADHD every time that she uses her powers. So she was like, I can't do the workouts that are required for this. You need to change. The team isn't getting along. Like, they aren't just like instantly clicking, which was it was cool to see. I always talk about relationships and stuff between people. It doesn't always have to be in comics. Like, everyone just instantly clicks and is buddy and we all are getting along and stuff. It's cool. It's okay for them to have their own opinions, and sometimes those opinions like don't go together, and because that's okay. And so it was nice to see that they're a team, but they aren't like, they just basically met each other.
Yeah. Especially especially for the characters like Monster Girl, who've like been doing this by themselves for so long. It's so like you can't expect to put like this solo hero in a team and just kind of want them to start following everybody's rules, or B, just get along. Like what's his face, the black hero, when he told him, the one that didn't have his powers anymore after Rexplode kept talking about it and like making all the jokes, and he was like, I don't know you that well, so I'm gonna assume everything you're saying is a joke, and I don't need to like beat your ass. And everybody was kind of like, oh. But it's like that's the energy you expect like someone to walk in with. It's like, if I've already been doing this, and it's like here's this like little infinite child trying to crack jokes about me, like, yeah, it's not gonna work.
Who
So I
the hell
appreciate that.
to be bringing up me losing my powers, bitch? Like, you don't know me like that.
What do you do? Right. I felt it. I was like, yeah, slap his ass. But at that time, you also don't like Rexplode, so you're kind of rooting for it.
Right. Yeah. He was giving Gambit energy.
Okay.
And so later on, Eve quits because she's like, I don't want to work with Rex because of everything that goes on there. Later on, Eve and Invincible are called out on a mission against Dr. Seismic, which, I mean, low key, he spilled. He didn't say anything that was wrong. Like, Doc Seismic goes to Mount Rushmore and is like, he's made these seismic gloves and they can like cause earthquakes and like shatter rocks and stuff like that. And he goes to Mount Rushmore and is like, why do you guys make this monument to them? These are racist slave owners. And I was like,
villain. With sense.
I was like, he hasn't said anything wrong yet, so let him keep going.
And I love the way like his little seismic gauntlets worked. I love the way that they showed him and like him just destroying stuff. That was really well done.
Yeah, the action in this is really well done, and the way that the powers interact with like things in the universe is really, really cool and well done. So he like tries to shatter the Mount Rushmore. And of course, the heroes try to come in and stop him, and they have this like really cool fight. By the end of it, really cool fight, by the way. Shout out to Eve. She was giving, and they have this really cool fight with him, and they end up like rescuing this family and stopping him. And by the end of it, Invincible like leaves, and Eve is like, okay, well, thanks, like no problem for helping you out here. Sure. And he leaves to basically go off because he's going to go be with Amber, and Amber is this other girl who he kind of like met at the beginning back in the first episode of school, and kind of has a crush on her. I think she's being voiced by Zazie Beetz, which is really cool. You see them back at his room, and when he comes back, Omni-Man is like, did you just leave hanging out with Amber to go and stop something, and then you had to hurry up and coming back? And he was like, yeah. And Omni-Man is like, that's just the part. It's a part of the gig. And I do like those very like father-son moments of like teaching of what it actually comes with being a superhero. Like, it's not always just going off and saving the mission and doing something cool and showing off your powers and, you know, front pages and interviews. Sometimes you got to do this. You got to ditch someone you care about because you got to go off and go do something. So I thought that was a really cool moment between the two of them.
I also really loved like Mark's annoyance, like as Omni-Man was sitting there like telling him like, oh yeah, this is great, and trying to give him all this wisdom. He's like, okay. He's like, I still got I got a girl in the room. Like, I gotta go. Stop talking to me. Like,
right.
That's very real. It's like, please stop talking to me. Like, I get it. So that was a nice moment. Like I said earlier, like when I was reading Action Comics and seeing the dynamic of Clark and John versus this one in the show, and like how it's similar but also still so different because Clark comes at it from a very genuine place of like goodness, whereas Omni-Man obviously does not. but it's like it's genuine because, you know, he really does love his son, and he like obviously cares about his family, but at the same time like there's something else going on there, and it's like, why are you really acting like this?
Exactly. So the episode ends with these Mahler twins that we had seen in the earlier. They had been apprehended, obviously, by the Guardians of the Globe, but in this episode they're in prison, and they basically like break out of prison, and they've had some help getting out, and sure enough, that help came from Robot. And
of course it did. Look at how mean everyone is to Robot. I would have done the same thing.
Exactly. So he released them, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with that, and if he's going to be like the villain there, you know, the one no one expects to be the villain.
Yeah, I love a good double cross. Did you ever play Dragon Age? The video game?
Yes.
So Robot's turn really reminded. I get like a very heavy Solus energy.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that play out.
Yeah. So overall, for me, I'm loving this series. It's only going to be 8 episodes.
Oh, so okay. I was wondering because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's only 8 episodes. And starting next week, it'll just be one episode a week every Friday, I think. So I'm in.
I'm tuned in every week. I'll be there.
Absolutely. This is gonna be great.
Invincible Friday.
For Invincible Friday. I love the animation, love the character adaptation. So yeah, definitely check that out, y'all. Great show. All right, so let's take a break and then we'll come back for another rewatch of Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 2.
Yeah. All right, we are back from our little break, and we're here for another double feature of the relaunch. And this time we have episode 2 of The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now, I love this show. I don't really know what else to say about it. Other than I love it. And so, in like the broad sense, of course. You know, there's a lot to say about it, but just like I really enjoy it. I know some people have kind of been saying they're not as invested in it for whatever reason, but I'm all in. Why aren't you invested in it?
Well, you know, I noticed that, particularly with honestly this show, that for the most part, when it comes to the MCU, I have just been enjoying it because it has been quality comic book stuff. But like none of my faves have really appeared outside of like Carol. And on my like favorite list, she's not that high. Like so she's been the only one I've been like super enjoying, but like for the most part I've just been along for the ride, just enjoying it because like it is good content and it is good like translations of these characters on screen and all that kind of stuff. But like I'm not that
you don't really like nobody.
Right. I don't really like nobody. So I'm just like, okay, this is cool. I guess,
that's valid. That's valid. So honestly, I'm kind of the same way. Like the Captain America corner of the MCU has been like fantastic for me. I'm a huge like Cap fan. Obviously, Sam, Steve, Natasha, like all of those people, like that's my jam. But everything else is kind of, I will say now that I've gone back like over the last year or two or so and like gotten more into Thor and like Asgard comics as a whole. Now when I go back and watch Thor movies, I appreciate them a lot more, I guess, because like I actually get where the reference is coming from.
Yeah.
But everyone else, it's kind of like my going back and finding out that I love Star-Lord and like discovering that has actually made me dislike the Guardians films more.
That happens.
Because
that happens sometimes. You have different realizations when you read comic books, and you know
it just reminds me that I really do not enjoy those interpretations. But this is like absolutely my thing. This episode in particular was really great for me. I think the last time we spoke about it, in episode 1, we had the mention of Torres, the Agent Torres, who's been helping Sam out, and like I reminded folks, if they didn't know, that he's actually the Falcon in the comics when Sam becomes Captain America. And I thought this episode was great because we just introduced like a bunch more characters. We got Lamar Hoskins, who is the hero known as Battlestar, and like he was not someone I was expecting to see at all.
Okay, I had no idea that's who he was.
What do you mean? Wait.
I don't even know who the fuck a Battlestar is. But okay.
Battlestar was like another Star-Spangled Hero. He has like these like blue pants and like this white star on his shirt. He's like, he used to be a wrestler with D-Man. And
I know D-Man. Okay.
Yeah, of course that's horrible. But it was, so there's actually
like a joke, right? Isn't D-Man like a joke? Like
a little bit, but like they kind of legitimized him a little bit. He was actually a supporting character of Sam during his tenure as Captain America as well. So I'm actually kind of hopeful that he's going to show up in this series in some form or fashion. And there's an issue where D-Man like goes back to the wrestling ring and he's fighting Battlestar.
Okay.
So it was like really nice to see him.
Battlestar is kind of cool.
He's a cool guy. Like the name is fun. He's
is he black?
He's black. He's black. So this was the other thing that I realized about watching this episode: how many black characters have actually like been along the lines of that Captain America Star-Spangled Hero type. Like there's a few of them.
Yeah.
Like
Bradley, both of them, and now Battlestar. I have no idea. Okay.
so that was like super interesting to see. I really love. So my thing is the villains, the Flag Smashers.
Mm.
I don't know if we're actually supposed to be rooting against them because
I mean, they haven't really said anything wrong.
So I'm. That's really interesting. I thought this episode was like kind of interesting though because it showed that Sam and Bucky don't necessarily disagree with everything. But so like I'm kind of hoping that we'll find a way to get to help them in some way, form or fashion. That would be really interesting. I think it'll be a big part of Sam and his like arc into Captain America. Again, Wyatt Russell as U.S. Agent Captain America right now, fantastic. I hate him. Like,
yeah.
hate him. Like,
I saw some interviews with him where he talked about that one of his earlier roles that he had auditioned for was for actual Captain America. That
wow.
that Chris Evans ended up getting. He also auditioned for that. So it's interesting that like he kind of had that like full circle moment now where he ends up being U.S. agent, and he talked about that. They asked him how he feels about portraying U.S. agent, and he said, if I get people to hate me, I did my job right. And I was like, oh, that's great coming from that actor. He was like, I want like if you guys look at me and you don't like me, that means I'm doing a good job. So
yeah, like absolutely, he's doing a perfect job of that. There's like a smugness to his character that you just like cannot help but despise, and it's like even if you are like,
but you've experienced it before, so that's what makes it like.
Yeah, it's just like, and so it's like I don't know if you've ever had like a conversation with a man. And I mean, when I say have a conversation with a man, I mean just like really listen to what a man has said, and you'll like realize how much ego and like competition and smugness is really there, and how it's just kind of like haughty and like holier than thou. It's like I'm better than you. And it's just like, why do you think any of that? And then it's like, how dare you actually have the audacity to believe it so that you can talk to me like this?
Exactly.
It's just like, no. And so he does that really well. And so I love the way, like, every time he says something to Bucky and Sam, they just kind of looked at him like, no, like, we don't like you. Loving everything that they are doing with Bucky and Sam in their relationship.
Yeah.
I won't lie, I'm not always 100% a fan of Mackie's portrayal of Sam. I do think.
Well, you're the Falcon fan, so I would take your word for it. I have no idea if he's like doing this work correctly.
I mean,
bringing forth the Sam.
I think he's fine. Like, I think in the way that he portrays Sam is like great. I just think it's a little irritating. Like sometimes, like when he jokes about certain things, it's like, all right, calm down. Like you don't need to do that. He makes just some expensive Bucky. And it's like I get it, they're trying to build this little like brotherly love, band relationship between them, but it's also like people are dying. Mm-hmm. Like people are dying, calm down. Like, you're hitting the game here. So that was something really interesting to see. Overall, I think the big part of this episode, of course, is when Bucky takes Sam to Isaiah Bradley's house. And for those who don't know, Isaiah Bradley is a character in the comics who also was Captain America, and he was experimented on in prison, and so like his whole tenure as Captain America has actually been like a huge secret, and it's like this big scandalized thing. His son, and is Eli his grandson or his nephew?
Eli is his grandson. Yeah.
Grandson.
Eli's his grandson. Yeah.
The son and his grandson, they kind of go on to follow his footsteps a little bit, like in their own monikers as Josiah X and Patriot. And so, do you think that was supposed to be Josiah or Patriot or Eli who opened the door?
Okay, I couldn't tell. I had a feeling that was supposed to be Eli that opened the door. I wish they would have. I don't know. Him? Yeah, I wish Isaiah would in the background said like Eli, who is it, or something that would have like didn't name.
Because I was like, because when he said it, he was like, "Oh, get Isaiah." And I was like, "Where are they at?" I was like, "Why are they at this house?" And I was like, "Wait, he said Isaiah." I was like, "I know an Isaiah, don't I?" And I was like, "Oh wait, Isaiah Bradley." And so then, they get in there and they have the big scene. And the actor who portrays him, Carl Lumbly, is his name. He actually has like a really strong voice acting background.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's done a couple of things. He was in Batman Beyond.
Oh.
He did a voice on Static Shock. The biggest one. He was Martian Manhunter's voice actor on Justice.
Oh snap! Oh shit! Okay. Wow. Okay.
There's like a really big one I'm forgetting. Like he was a Martian Manhunter for like the longest time. So I thought like seeing him again was like really cool. The hurt that he portrayed in the scene of just kind of coming to terms again, being reminded of all the things that happened to him in prison, the anger and kind of like contempt that Sam portrayed after they left the house, and he was just like, how could nobody tell me this guy existed? Like, how did nobody mention this to me? That was very real. And then the scene directly after that where the cops come.
This entire scene was just like insane, and I had talked about this before in the last episode where I felt like, WandaVision was grief, whereas I felt like this one was going to be a lot more about like racial things that would go on. Yeah. And I was afraid that they would not go there. Or I was also afraid that the whole Isaiah Bradley thing was just a rumor, because at that before it actually appears in the MCU, everything is just a rumor, before it's like confirmed. So I was afraid that they weren't going to do that, but I really appreciated the way that they did this and the way that they tied it into Bucky and like the MCU version of all of this, I guess you could say, versus the comic books where Isaiah also just received the superhero soul serum, which was also received by Bucky, and how his mission was to go after and come and bring Bucky back or whatever. That was really cool. And just the entire like impact of it all on Sam, like leaving, and he was like, I felt like, why didn't anybody ever tell me this? And Bucky was like, I never even told like Cap about this.
Yeah. And it was like, because it just hits him like that much harder that, I gave the shield up. And now I gave the shield up and they gave it to this white man.
Right. And then when they're getting ready to go into their cars and they get pulled over by these police officers, I am always like weary of those kind of scenes because of like the emotions and everything that they kind of bring back. And they also aren't always done well. Sometimes they're very heavy-handed in a lot of these like very police brutality kind of moments that appear in shows and stuff. But for me in this one, it felt more authentic and it fit their whole like universe or whatever, because like the cop pulling them over and they've got like all the smoke for Sam
and none for Bucky. Is he bothering you?
For Bucky. It's right. That was wild. I was like,
is he bothering you?
Is he bothering you? As if not only as if like Sam should be the one bothering Bucky. Sam is Falcon. Okay. How y'all don't know him, but you are okay with like thinking that this white man he's fine, or like he's like in the green or whatever. We need to chastise this black man, even though the black man is fucking Falcon. The white dude to y'all should just be some random white man.
Okay. And it was like, and I love the fact that when the other cop like reminded him, he was like, even when Bucky said it, he was like, do you know who this is? And the cop reminded him, was like, oh, that's Sam Wilson, the Falcon. The guy was just like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize who you were. And it's just like, even if you did realize who he was, why were you like, what was the point? Why was he the one who you had to come and get the smoke with? If he wasn't Sam Wilson, the Falcon, and he was just like some random guy, you still shouldn't be bumping up on him with this.
Exactly. Then what would you have done? I would have had to make sure that this white man next to me gave you the okay that I should exist. That's wild.
Yeah. So I thought that was like really. I won't lie. I like tensed up a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think that's a little bit of PTSD just from life now. Seems like that. And like you said, I think it can tend to be very overhanded and just not something you want to see. And again, being a Sam fan, having read his tenure as Captain America and like kind of seeing the police brutality stuff play out that was happening very much so in the real world at the time and falling over into the comics, knowing it was all going to come, then still seeing it anyway and still just being like, oh my God, I don't know what's about to happen. It's just like, yeah, but I walked away like feeling okay with it. I was like, well done. We got
They will act too.
Very well acted. Again, like I don't really agree with all of the choices that Mackie makes as Sam, but he hit that. He did that.
Bucky's been doing great in these scenes. Sebastian Stan, I think that he's been pretty good in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I'm really excited for the MCU television, just all the series as a whole, because it's going to be such a better deep dive into the actors and like their actual acting ability and what they can. Obviously we saw it in WandaVision a ton with Elizabeth Olsen, Catherine Hahn, Paul Bettany, and I'm really glad that Sam and Sebastian are getting that chance too. Or Sam, Anthony and Sebastian.
So how did you feel about the ending of this, where it goes towards they like, the Black Smashers are trying to escape with this medicine or whatever they've been trying to get, and the Power Broker men are trying to come after them, and they end up escaping or whatever, and now Sam and Bucky now have to like go to this random like therapy session in the middle of the therapy session. Was cute. It didn't make sense in my opinion. It was
awkward because it was like, you in here.
Yeah, and like all of a sudden you guys are leaving jail, and it's, hey, we have a therapy session right now. Like, what, girl? That don't make sense.
Well, that was why he went to jail, because he had missed his therapy session.
Right, but I mean, like, why schedule to have it right then and there? Like, we can't say next week at 7.
I think she was just annoyed at that point. She was like, let's get this done. But no, I like the therapy session. I liked it more for Bucky than I did for Sam.
Same, me too.
Just because I feel like we kind of needed that for Bucky. We can already assume and figure out why Sam is upset, what's kind of going through his mind, especially for like someone like you and I. We are Black men, like we understand it already. Yeah. I think there's been a kind of a big question about Bucky that was like, where exactly is his head at? And like, if he is upset about Sam giving up the shield, why is it? Like, is it because he wanted it? Is it just because of whatever reason? So it was nice that he kind of got to explain that bit and give his piece. I like that they still walked out together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, get it out their system, and it's like we still got a job to do. I love that they are about to go back and try and get Zemo now.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting them to like go back and like work with Zemo, I guess, to like get this information. I keep expecting Zemo to. I thought he was going to be the antagonist for this whole show, but who knows? Maybe he ends up joining with them.
I don't see that happening.
What do you think is going to happen with Zemo?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that like they'll go to him for some type of information. They'll work with him in some form or fashion. But it's Zemo. He like hates them. He's going to either try and turn on them some type of way. I do hope that he gets free, so that way we can like free him up for the MCU in the future. Zemo is probably one of my favorite MCU villains.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I think he was like extremely well done in the movie. The character arc, I'm super excited to see him again. I like the actor who plays him. Like, yeah, I'm all about it.
Mm-hmm. I need Zemo because I need Wonder Man.
Oh, it's like so weird to me how Wonder Man has all these connections. Yeah, it's like all these connections, but like he is nowhere to be found.
Exactly, but
like, he's nowhere. And I know that is like so annoying for you.
It's so annoying.
Like I cannot imagine. I can't, because like even with a lot of my favorite characters, we've talked about how like the MCU we were kind of like just along for the ride before. Mm-hmm. Most of mine are like starting to pop up.
Right.
Like, Sam's got his series. Echo's coming. Yelena's gonna be showing up soon. I don't know. She-Hulk is coming. Moon Knight's coming. I'm getting Jane Foster Thor. Sif's coming back. Like, this is my era.
Yeah, this is your era. Meanwhile, I'm like, hello. Give me something. Throw me some kind of bone.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the time.
I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not theorizing nothing.
Well, if Wonder Man were to kind of like show up, would you be okay with him in this setting of like the cat world with the street heroes?
Yeah, because he would end up being like the superpowered one amongst the rest of them.
Okay. All right.
And that would give him the reason probably they say like, oh, you can't use your powers too much because you end up destroying everybody down here. So
we love to save a budget.
yes, a budget.
Save on a budget. I'm telling you. So like, I think that's also like why my characters are thriving right now because I like a lot of street heroes, and it's like you don't need a budget for that. They're not doing nothing.
And when they do get a lot of budget, they end up stuck with like this show because I will say that action scene with the flying scenes of all of Falcon is like they're really well done.
He's really you can tell like Mackie is a lot more comfortable on the wires and stuff too. Like
definitely.
He flows.
Yeah,
like it's so good to see the fight on the truck with the flag smashers. I was embarrassed. I won't lie. Like I know Steve was rolling around in his grave. Yeah, and that's on like everybody. That was on like Sam. That was on Bucky. That was on U.S. Agent. That was on Battlestar. Like y'all got knocked out. They won throwing. Like I was embarrassed. That was embarrassed. I did like the move though, where the girl when she kicked Battlestar off the truck and U.S. Agent kind of threw the shield to catch him.
Yeah, that was slick.
That was a hot move. Really into that. Again, action. I'm loving it for this series. Mm-hmm. I know this was only 6 episodes, so do you feel like it's moving quick, or do you feel like it's at a fine pace?
I think it's moving. I think it's moving quickly anyway. But the pace is fine. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of both of those. I do think that I either would have preferred like I don't know a movie for these two versus a show. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I need 6 episodes of this type of storytelling versus if I would have gotten this all in one sitting. Mm-hmm. In like a 2.5 hour movie. But like I said, I'm still enjoying the ride. They're kicking ass and stuff. That's fine.
I think I get what you're saying about having the movie and the show. I think I prefer this as a show just because I don't think a lot of the deep dives that we're going to get into Sam's character with like his family and stuff, I don't think
right. That's true. Yeah.
And that's what I really appreciate about that. Again, like, yes, it feels like a big action movie in that sense. And I know, even like, again, speaking about WandaVision, I know a lot of people loved it because it was such a look into grief for Wanda and like a deep dive into that character. I don't think we would have gotten something like that, like, had it been in a movie setting.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that we're going to get into that with Sam and Bucky. Obviously, in a different way. Obviously, we're doing it with Bucky. He's got like therapy sessions. So it's like, we're going to see what's going on with him. But Sam's will come through with his relationships and with his family and his friends. And Torres, eventually. Who I kind of hope becomes Falcon in this.
I kind of want him to, too.
I really like him. He's actually probably like my favorite character of the show right now. Like I was saying.
Yeah.
He's fun.
He seems endearing. Yeah.
I really like the actor they have for him. Because obviously we know Sam's going to become Cap. If Sam becomes Cap and then something happens and he becomes the new Falcon, I'll be happy. Maybe even Eli. Right now. We'll put quotes.
Do you think that they'll explore more with Eli in this, or do you think that was it as far as the Bradleys go?
No, I feel like I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll go back to the Bradleys. I don't feel like you can introduce that into Sam's life, have him have that type of reaction, and then not at least have him go back.
Go back and have some kind of conversation.
Yeah, I feel like it would be a disservice to his character.
I agree.
Truthfully.
Yeah. They need to have some kind of longer conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like, even if he just sees him in the suit to be like, hey, I'm like, everybody thinks I might be carrying on Sam's legacy, but like also know that I'm carrying on yours as well.
Mm-hmm. I rest on your shoulders.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that moment definitely needs to happen.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely need more of that. But I'm in. I'm definitely in.
I'm into it. I'm into
I'm
it.
excited for the like the whatever they do at the big finale or whatever. I bet that fight scene is gonna give. So I'm in.
I'm like, so I don't know. I'm really into like musical scores as well.
Okay.
So it's like I have like so many on my phone that I like listen to when I'm in the gym and stuff like that. And I've just been anticipating the musical score that's going to play during that big final bombastic fight.
Yeah.
It's going on my gym playlist for sure.
I wonder, do you think do you think Bucky is gonna die?
Oh my god, so I was thinking that. Like I had that moment because I was kind of thinking, I was like, so, because I guess my thing was, after this, what else are you going to do with Bucky?
Right.
It's kind of like, okay, like, if Sam's going to be Cap, are you going to, like, he's already the Winter Soldier, he's had his White Wolf moment. They're kind of like, I guess, putting his character in an arc where he'll finally be at peace. So it's like, do you kill him also when he has peace, or
do you just let him go off and do whatever he wants to do?
Yeah, because especially if he's making a whole case about how he doesn't want to be like the fighter and the killer anymore, it's just kind of like, all right, stop fighting and killing.
Right.
It's just like, okay,
I guess you got to be done there.
It's either like he retires or he dies.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna. I think they may end up killing them off.
Just like, yeah, I mean, and then like I think again when you think about it, a lot of the characters who Bucky is close with are dead.
Yeah, he even said it in the show, like, and it's like I only had one friend and he gone. So
like you can't do his relationship with Natasha because she's dead.
She's dead. Yeah. That would have been nice to see on screen though. The two of them.
I'm actually kind of upset with
yeah.
Like just like a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to rewatch Winter Soldier. Maybe there was like something I can pull. Did they look at each other?
The fight of them fighting against each other was nice, and that one moment where she was like, "You could at least remember me," was kind of in my own head. It was like maybe a reflection of that relationship, but really it was just the fact that like he had actually tried to kill her before.
Right, it's just like no, you can have the decency. No, I agree with that. That's one relationship that I really would have liked to see. Like, but no, we got Hulk and Widow instead.
We try to ignore that.
Getting real low.
That was a choice.
But overall, still very much enjoying the show. Still very much invested. Still very much loving all the characters. You know me, I try not to theorize too much because I don't want to get myself too excited about things to be let down. And I just want to, especially with the MCU, I feel like you said, everything in the MCU is a rumor or a theory until it actually happens.
Exactly.
But I'm still excited to see how this. I'm really excited to see how Zemo kind of like turns things around for me, and like what he brings to the dynamic of these two guys who are like very heartbroken in two completely different ways, and Zemo who is all about breaking down heroes. So it seems like
we're creating them.
Creating.
Hey. I would not be mad at it.
Okay.
All right, so so that brings us to the end of the show. You can find us now online at Another Relaunch. On Twitter, you can find us also on YouTube now. Check us out at Another Relaunch on there. You can email us any of your own questions at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can find me at UncannyLZ on pretty much most social media platforms. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at Keenan Lance. So you know there's a little underscore at the end. I'm going to do the little Oprah thing.
All right, y'all. Let's get them out of here.
Peace.